Am I in the wrong for accepting a high-tech prosthetic leg after losing mine to cancer, even though my 11-year-old brother says it's unfair and my mom thinks I should have waited? Posted by you/strange ostrich 917. My name is Emily. I'm 18 and live in Scotland. When I was 16, my world turned upside down. I was diagnosed with bone cancer. It started in my thigh and spread fast. The only option to save my life was to amputate my leg above the knee. That was the beginning of a long, brutal 2-year fight filled with chemotherapy, surgeries, and endless hospital stays. I missed most of school, drifted away from my friends, and felt like my entire life had been put on pause. I was stuck in a cycle of pain, fatigue, and isolation. When the treatments finally ended, I was left with a stump, scars, and trauma I didn't know how to process. Everyone else seemed to move on, but I was still trying to figure out how to live again. My doctors told me I was a candidate for a high-functioning prosthetic, a bionic leg. It wasn't just about appearance. With the right leg, I could walk again, manage stairs, and even live independently while attending university. But the kind of leg I needed was expensive. The NHS covered a big portion of it, but not everything. That's when my mom stepped in. She had a savings fund she'd built over the years, money set aside for emergencies and future needs. Some of that was meant for my 11-year-old brother. He's neurodivergent and has always required extra care and support. He's incredibly smart and emotionally intense. My mom calls him her sunbeam. Everything in our home has always revolved around his needs and his moods. Still, when she saw how much the prosthetic would help me, she decided to use part of that fund to pay for the rest. It changed my life. For the first time since the amputation, I could walk without crutches. I could move through the day without collapsing from exhaustion. It wasn't perfect, but it gave me back some freedom. I could picture a future where I could go to school, work, and just live again. But last week, everything fell apart. My brother had what my mom calls a bad emotional day. He told her he was upset because everyone was paying attention to me. He said it wasn't fair that I got a robot leg, and he didn't get anything special. Instead of explaining to him that I got the leg because I lost mine to cancer, and not because it was a reward, my mom came to me. She sat me down and told me that maybe she had made a mistake. That spending that money on me without considering how it would affect him emotionally was short-sighted. She said she regretted not waiting until he was older so he could better understand. She said he was just very sensitive and I needed to try harder to see it from his perspective. I was stunned. I didn't even know how to respond. I felt like I was being punished for surviving, like I had taken up too much space. I never asked for any of this. I didn't ask to lose a leg. I didn't beg for the money. I didn't even complain during the worst parts of treatment. And now she was acting like I'd stolen something from him by trying to get my life back? For the first time, I questioned whether I'd been wrong to accept the prosthetic. Even though I knew I needed it and that I wouldn't be able to function properly without it, guilt started to creep in. I posted about it online, looking for outside perspectives. The response was overwhelming. Thousands of people reassured me that I wasn't the jerk. They reminded me that surviving isn't selfish and that I deserved a shot at a normal life. Some even shared stories of being overlooked in their own families or struggling to live with disabilities. Their support helped, but things at home didn't get better. Update 1 4 days later. A few days after my post, I came home from my job at a local cafe. I always take off my prosthetic to charge when I get home. It rests on its dock in my room, where the joints can breathe and the delicate circuits aren't disturbed. But when I opened my bedroom door, I found my brother in there. He had unplugged the charger and was messing with the leg. He was bending the knee joint, twisting the ankle, trying to make it move like a toy. I shouted at him to stop, but it was too late. The knee made a horrible grinding noise, and then the leg gave out completely. It collapsed in his hands. He dropped it and ran crying downstairs. I just stood there in shock, staring at the one thing that gave me freedom, now broken beyond use. These prosthetics aren't built for rough handling. They're precision-engineered, delicate, and custom-fit to the user. You can't take it to a regular shop. It has to be shipped back to the manufacturer. Repairs will cost thousands of pounds and could take months. Still in disbelief, I took the broken pieces and went to my mom, expecting her to be horrified, to say, "We'll make this right." But instead, she wrapped her arms around my brother. She said he didn't mean it, that he was just curious. She told me I needed to be more understanding. He's only 11 after all, and that I shouldn't have left something so tempting out where he could get to it. She didn't apologize. She didn't promise to help pay for repairs. She didn't even acknowledge what this meant for me, that without the leg, I can't work, can't commute to school, and can barely move around without pain. She just brushed it aside. And then she said, "It was in your room, charging. You should have locked the door." I felt like I didn't exist. like I was just an inconvenience again. She was more worried about her sunbeam feeling bad than she was about the fact that I couldn't walk anymore. I don't have the money to fix it. The grant I got is gone. Insurance might help, but the deductible is massive. And she made it clear she wouldn't be helping this time. I survived cancer. I lost my leg. I fought like hell to stand again, and now my prosthetic was broken because an 11-year-old wanted to see if it would walk like a toy. And no one cared. Update 2, 6 days later. After a few more days of silence and no solutions, I called my dad. My parents are divorced. He's always been supportive, but I didn't want to stress him out. Still, I needed someone. I told him everything. About the prosthetic. About my brother breaking it. About my mom brushing it all off. He was livid. The very next morning, he showed up at the house with his truck and told me to pack a bag. I was coming with him. There were no fireworks. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I packed my clothes, schoolwork, and what remained of my prosthetic. I left behind everything else. Old pictures, decorations, trinkets, things that felt too tied to a version of myself that didn't feel safe anymore. When I left, my mom barely looked up. My brother cried and said, "Don't be mad at me." My mom just said, "She'll come back when she calms down." But she doesn't get it. I'm not coming back. Now I'm staying with my dad. His house is smaller and quieter, but it feels like home. It's the first time in a long time I feel safe. I can leave my prosthetic out to charge without worrying someone will destroy it. I can limp around without being reminded that I'm an afterthought. My dad has already started helping me contact the prosthetic company about repairs. He's offered to co-sign a loan if insurance doesn't cover enough. He told me, "You didn't survive all that just to go back to crawling." For the first time in what feels like forever, I believe him. The support online hasn't stopped. Some people keep urging me to file a police report, but I don't want to take that step. I don't want to drag this further than it already has gone. Others have called me brave, and many have shared their own stories about being pushed aside in their families. It helps more than I can say to know I'm not alone. My dad helps with everything now: school, work, doctor's appointments. He reminds me that surviving isn't selfish, and that I don't owe anyone an apology for continuing to live my life. I'm still waiting to hear back from the prosthetic company. It'll take time. It'll take money. But this time, I know I'll get there. I'm not doing it alone. I'm healing, not just physically, but emotionally. For the first time in 2 years, I can breathe. And when I finally walk again, whether it's on this leg or a new one, it won't be because someone gave me permission. It'll be because I fought for it.